The strong voices of these fishermen sound like the English of the West Country, Dorset, Devon, or Cornwall.
It's from 4 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. Rain, snow, ice, wind. It doesn't make any difference. We have to go. We're like the mailman, I guess.
In fact, this is America's Chesapeake Bay, and these are the descendants of some of the first settlers to venture across the Atlantic.
They all say I talk slow, so I'm aware of that, and that's the way I am. I can't help that.
This is the story of the English of William Shakespeare and the King James Bible, and how it was brought to the New World by the Elizabethans. This is Montacute House in Somerset, one of the counties whose oaks and yeomen provided the ships and sailors for England's exploration of the New World. This was the century of the English Renaissance, and Montacute, built in the shape of an E, is the fitting symbol of the Elizabethan flowering, traditionally the golden age of the English language. Queen Elizabeth I and her successor, James, reigned for about 70 years. During that time, the English language reached heights that have inspired us ever since, and even contemporaries marveled at. For the English, that was a time of national triumph. They were as proud of their words as they were of defying the Pope or defeating the Spanish Armada. Sir Philip Sidney, the poet and soldier, spoke for his countrymen when he wrote, "For the uttering sweetly and properly the conceit of the mind, English hath it equally with any other tongue in the world." To describe this brave new world of discovery and invention, the self-confident English vernacular borrowed a staggering total of 12,000 new words. Men of letters like Sir Thomas More look back to classical models for hundreds of Latin words like active, communicate, education. Men of science like Sir Francis Bacon took their inspiration from the Greek and introduced terms like thermometer, pneumonia, skeleton, encyclopedia. And there was one writer whose work lies at the heart of the Elizabethan miracle, whom Johnson singled out for what he called his mastery of the diction of common life, or as we'd put it, everyday speech. And of course, that was William Shakespeare. There are many legends, but almost nothing certain is known about the greatest writer in our story. He was born here in Stratford-on-Avon, deep in the English countryside. He was educated at the local grammar school. At the age of 18, he married Anne Hathaway, who lived here, and they had 2 children. In his 20s, he left all this behind and appeared as an actor in London, where he wrote poems and 37 plays. In late middle age, he returned to Stratford as a successful gentleman of means and built a large house. Only his knot garden remains. Today, Stratford is a mecca for Shakespeare lovers, actors and audiences alike throughout the world. Penny Downey has come from Australia to play Titania in a Royal Shakespeare Company interpretation of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
His mother was a votress of my order, and in the spiced Indian air, by night, full often has she gossiped by my side, and sat with me on Neptune's yellow sands, marking the embarked traders on the flood, when we have laughed to see the sails conceive and grow big-bellied in the wanton wind, which she with pretty and with swimming gait following, her womb then rich with my young squire would imitate, and sail upon the land to fetch me trifles, and return again as from a voyage rich with merchandise. But she, being mortal of that boy, did die, and for her sake do I rear up her boy, and for her sake I will not part with him. So is mine eye.
As well as such high-flown imagery, Shakespeare's poetry, rich with the vocabulary of his native Warwickshire, reflects his country origins. Terms like ballow, meaning a cudgel, honey stalks for red clover, mobled, a local word for muffled, and gleek, meaning to sing.
The more the pity that some honest neighbours will not make them friends. Nay, I can gleek upon occasion.
Shakespeare's language ranges from the russet yeas and nays of fools and rustics like Bottom the Weaver here, to the taffeta phrases, silken terms precise of kings and fairies.
I am a spirit of no common rate, and summer still doth tend upon my state. And I do love thee, therefore go with me. I'll give thee fairies to attend on thee, and they shall fetch thee jewels from the deep, and sing while thou on pressed flowers doth sleep. And I will purge thy mortal grossness so that thou shalt, like an airy spirit, go.
His plays have every kind of spoken English. Pidgin with Caliban, philosophical with Hamlet, bawdy with Falstaff, heroic with Henry V, and pastoral lyrical with Titania.
The moon, methinks, looks with a watery eye, and when she weeps, weeps every little flower, lamenting some enforced chastity.
For many years, one of the Royal Shakespeare Company's leading directors was John Barton.
My obsession with Shakespeare is to do with so many elements, and I hate in a way to talk about it because it's the whole of those elements that I love. But it's partly, obviously, his sense of character, it's partly his sense of dramatic situation, very much his story, but perhaps in the end, above all, and what first drew me to him, is his language.
Let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose, within the